Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video I thought I would run through some autumn book recommendations. It is my personal favourite time of year. I have always said I am just not a summer person. I thrive in the autumn and winter months, and what better time of year than to curl up, get all cozy, read a book, get a nice hot drink. Name a more perfect scenario, because I can't. But yeah, I thought I would run through a pretty broad range, to be honest, of autumn book recommendations. I have some romances, I have some fantasies, I have some YA mysteries, I have some general fiction. I've really kind of gone all out and I'm kind of surprised at myself. But yeah, I have picked out kind of some of my favourite reads from this time of year, books that are set in autumn, books that just kind of make me feel cozy, books that I think you guys will like and feel cozy reading at this time of year. So I'm not going to ramble on too long, let's get on with it. So first book that I'm recommending is actually the book that got me into reading, which is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Now, while this isn't like an overtly autumnal book, this book to me screams like rainy day reading. This follows Marianne and Connell, who kind of, the only way I can describe it is, have always kind of been missing each other. They've like wanted to be together but keep missing each other. And you kind of follow them from school through to college, through to like adulthood. And it's just like, in my mind, perfection. You'll never be able to get me to hate this book. Like I say, this is the book that really sparked my love for reading. I cried my eyes out. I loved Connell and Marianne, and maybe it's because I'm half Irish that I just love books that are set in Ireland and set with Irish people. I don't know, but yeah, I loved this book, and it is just, I think because it's emotional to me, it makes me feel cozy. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like if you have been thinking about reading this book or it's been on your radar, I feel like now is the time of year where picking it up would be perfect. The next book we have, I'll be surprised if no one has heard of it before, but that is The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is a magical realism romance. This follows Clementine, and the premise of this book is she goes to live in her aunt's apartment, and her aunt's apartment can end up being either 7 years in the past or 7 years in the future. And so Clementine, she goes there knowing this, and she meets this guy, and I'm not going to say too much more because I don't want to spoil the plot of the book, but this one, I don't know why, it's again cozy to me. This book I remember reading actually at this time of year, and I cried, I laughed. The way that Ashley Poston does books is just so incredibly unique to me. I have never read an author like her, and someone who hasn't really explored, I guess, like the magical realism genre before. I find her so interesting to read, and this one was just like so like heart-wrenching, and just, it's just so good. You'll fall in love with it, I'm sure. But yeah, this is a perfect romance with like a little magical twist to get you through this time of year. Next, we have a YA mystery, which I'm going to preface this with, I thought I was going to absolutely hate this book and this series, and read the first one and immediately was like, I need the rest of the series now. It was incredible, still like a 5-star series for me. I literally try and push it on. I'm currently pushing it on to my niece. I think she's on the last book of the series, but that is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This follows Cassie, and she becomes part of this FBI program where they have brought together this group of kids / teenagers with these like, who have special talents to help kind of nurture them and get them to solve mysteries. And this series is just incredible. The way that Jennifer Lynn Barnes writes is so clever because everything is so intricate, and I'm someone, I will always say I'm so dumb when I'm reading. Like every plot twist gets me caught off guard. Like, I don't figure this stuff out, but it's just, like when it's all like pieced together and you figure it out, it all makes perfect sense. and I cannot explain how entertaining this series is. Even if you are someone who does not like mysteries or doesn't like thrillers or crime or anything like that, because trust me, that is not my thing, but this series was insane. Please pick it up. And also that, like, so this one's quite small. The books do get bigger, but I'd say they're so fast paced, and they're that kind of like really, I don't know the word, but like the really gripping books. Like, I couldn't put them down. So please, I beg, read the Natural series. Next we have a dark romance, which again is a genre that I don't particularly love. I just kind of can't take it seriously, to be honest. I find them really funny more than anything. But this one I read and genuinely loved. It was so entertaining, and that is Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. This follows Sloane and Rowan, who are both serial killers. But the only way I can describe Rowan is if you could have like a golden retriever boyfriend who's also a serial killer, that would be him. Their dynamic is so funny and interesting in this book. Like, this book actually had me cackling at some points. Like, don't get me wrong, some of the things that happen are truly disgusting, as you'll see in the trigger warnings for this book, but it was so entertaining. I've neither before or since reading this read anything that has felt the same. It was, I cannot explain how entertaining this book was. And again, as someone who doesn't love a dark romance, this one had me. I gave it a 5 stars. It was so good. And again, I feel like anything that's got like a dark undertone is the kind of book I want to be reading in autumn. And again, with the dark romance and just like the fact that they're kind of going on this like serial killing adventure together is just kind of funny and entertaining, but also like in a weird way quite cozy. But yeah, I highly recommend this book. Again, if you're someone who hasn't even like dipped their toe into dark romance, I'd highly recommend reading this one. I think it's so fun. Next, we have a book that came out this year, which was actually probably up there on like some of my favorite reads of the year, and that was Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. This follows Sarah and Caleb, who we get introduced to in Out on a Limb, which, side note, if you haven't read that, read it. It's insane. 5 stars. But yeah, this follows Sarah and Caleb, who are married and they've been together since they were in high school, and they kind of realize they've reached this like stagnant phase in their marriage, and so they go to this like couples retreat to kind of fix their marriage and make their relationship better. And again, it's not like explicitly set in autumn, but this book makes me feel cozy, and I don't know whether that's because they're like camping or they're in the wilderness. And also, I'm someone who doesn't particularly love the second chance romance trope, but this one, if you are a second chance lover, you'll love this one. Caleb is incredibly sweet, and I just loved this book because it's like they always fall for each other all over again, and they learn how to communicate properly, and they kind of unpack how their relationship started, because it started in a pretty rocky time in Sarah's life. But yeah, I couldn't recommend this book or Hannah Bonham Young enough. If you haven't picked up any of her books already, this is your sign to do so. Next, we have what I would say is a very cozy book, and I'm sure from looking at the cover you guys will very much agree with me, and that is The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. This follows Calla and Jonah, and basically Calla throughout her life has had a pretty estranged relationship with her father, and she goes to his like really small town. Is it in Alaska, I think? Yeah, and basically I think the premise of this book is she goes home to where her dad lives after receiving some pretty upsetting news, and in the meantime she meets Jonah, who is like super protective of her dad, super protective of his town and his job and his business, that they have a really like rocky dynamic, which they slowly kind of figure out, and they figure out the truth behind each other's backstories. And it's just a really cozy one. Again, like, even like, I'm just gonna pop a little crumb in here about part of the storyline is they end up in a little wood cabin alone overnight, I think in a storm, if I remember rightly. I don't remember, there was a reason they couldn't leave, but you get the gist. But yeah, as you can tell, very crazy, very autumnal, what more could you want? Okay, next we have a general fiction book, which again is not my kind of book, but this one was just really wholesome and heartwarming. And again, I wouldn't say it's ostensibly autumnal, but I feel like it's just very cozy because it's very heartwarming and wholesome. And that is The Storied Life of AJ Thickery by Gabrielle Zevin. This follows AJ, who one day is left with his 2-year-old called Maya, and it kind of just follows their life together and their relationship, and even just like AJ's life pre-Maya and how different it was, and how she kind of brings this newfound purpose and light into his life. And again, it's just so heartwarming, so lovely. And again, as someone who doesn't really love general fiction, this one is just super, super nice. And again, I think if you're someone who's just like maybe not even that much of a reader, but you kind of want to just read something cute and wholesome, I feel like this is for you. It's just very cozy, and I feel like now is the perfect time of year to read it. Then we actually have one of my 5-star reads this year, and that is All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata. This follows Tobias Rhodes and Aurora, and basically the town that they're in, Aurora grew up in with her mum until her mum went hiking one day and she went missing. And so they kind of like haphazardly, accidentally end up in the same place as that. Rhodes's son has, without telling him, rented out the like loft of their garage to Aurora to stay in while she's in town. And she basically goes hiking and she wants to learn more about kind of like where she came from and her mum. And slowly but surely they go from, this is like a proper slow burn, which I love. I'm a slow burn gal. If you want a really nice, cozy, autumnal, slow burn romance with, you guessed it, the single dad trope, then this is for you. This is such a good book. And it was also my first Mariana Zapata read, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I couldn't recommend this one more. Then we have a book which has very mixed reviews. I personally really enjoyed it, and it's very, very, very autumnal, and that is You Again by Kate Goldbeck. This follows Ari and Josh, who are just like complete opposites. They are the epitome of opposites attract. And I won't lie, I haven't seen Harry Met Sally, but lots of people say this is like When Harry Met Sally. And effectively, they, on their first meeting, absolutely despise each other. And then over the years, they keep being thrown into these social events where the other one is. And they're kind of like, why the hell are we running into each other? Like, we hate each other. So eventually they strike up a friendship, which then slowly comes, you know, into more. But yeah, a lot of people don't really love this book. I personally really enjoyed it. I had a great time with this book. It's also set in New York, which is one of my favorite places ever. So that gives it bonus points. But yeah, this is, as you can tell, just a very nice, cozy autumnal romance, and I highly recommend. Next, you know, I couldn't do this video without recommending some of my favorite fantasies of all time. And this one is literally my favorite book series of all time. So if there was ever a time of year where you should be picking this up, it is now. And that is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Anyone who knows me knows how much I love Throne of Glass. It is my favorite series of all time. Nothing will ever top it, I don't think. And this, again, was a series that I genuinely didn't think I'd like because I hadn't read any young adult books prior to reading this. And I would say it starts off young adult, and then as you go through the series, less so. But my God, no words can do this series justice. Sarah J. Maas is a genius. The only way I can describe this series to you is you will become so insanely invested in these characters. To me, they are real people. And the only way I can summarize how I feel about this series is like, I can't even watch TikTok about it without crying. Like, I love these characters so much. I love this series so much. I do actually really want to reread it soon. But yeah, if you haven't, for some godforsaken reason, picked up Throne of Glass yet, what the fuck are you doing? Pick it up, read it, okay? If there was anything you need to take away from this video, is that you should have read or be reading Throne of Glass. I'll stop there. So the next book is actually a cozy fantasy, and that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This I actually read in the summertime and I massively regretted it. When I was reading it, I was like, this should be read in the autumn time. Like, this should be read on a cozy rainy day. And I wish I had thought of that before reading it. But yeah, this is, if you want something that's just like pure cozy, this is a very like low stakes fantasy. Obviously follows Emily Wilde, who is trying to find the hidden ones, and it's like a huge part of her research of finding fairies and writing about fairies. And yeah, this is just so cozy. Sorry, my dog is going berserk outside because someone is mowing their lawn, so please forgive his barking. I can't do anything about it, I'm afraid. But yeah, if you want something that's just like pure cozy vibes, fantastical fairies, and it's like a snowy cabin, come on, pick her up. Next we have what I would describe as a more gothic fantasy, and that is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This book follows Elspeth, I think is how you say her name, and I would try and describe the magic system in this book, but I don't think I'll do a very good job at describing it. But again, this was a book that going into I was a bit unsure about. I didn't know how I'd feel about it, and I ended up actually thoroughly enjoying it. This was one of my favourite books at the time when I read it, and yeah, it's just very like dark, gothic, gloomy, and also just a very like unique magic system, I would say. Like, I feel like some fantasies nowadays run the risk of kind of like having similar magic systems or worlds. This one was something truly very unique that I'd not seen before. It's like these cards, they're like playing cards. I don't know how to describe it. You'd have to read it to understand. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I really recommend this one for this time of year. Again, just like pure cozy fantasy. Obviously quite high stakes, this one, and this is a duology as well, so if you're wanting to read a fantasy but not get into like a big series, this one's good because you know it's 2 books and you're done. And they're not like particularly chunky books either, so highly recommend if that's what you're looking for. Next we have a book which I have literally just finished today. And that is People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. Again, as you can tell by the cover, it's very autumnal, perfect for this time of year. And this follows Milo and Prue, and it's a very steamy book. If you're someone who loves a little bit of smut, I'm sure you'll like this. But I was pleasantly surprised, given the like smut storyline. I didn't know how I'd feel about it, but actually I really liked it, especially as like, again, I'm also not a big fan of like the reformed playboy storyline, but with Milo it was really cute because he was kind of a playboy for a reason, and it was just like the second he met Prue, he was like, oh no, this is different, like I'm going about this very, very differently. And he's just someone who is in Prue's situation, is all I'll say. He handled it perfectly, and I don't think you could have asked him to handle it more perfectly. Like, he was so great, and also like a tattered brunette guy. Sign me up. Next we have, again, one of my favourite reads from, was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. But that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which I'm so excited that we're getting a second one to this in like a month's time. When I read this, was like, oh, I'm so sad this is going to be the only book in this world. It was so good. This was also my first Ali Hazelwood read, and I couldn't put it down. This one follows Misery and Lo. Misery is a vampire, Lo is a werewolf, and they're thrown into this marriage of convenience, and it was just perfection. And again, I feel like this kind of time of year, you want the vampire and werewolf storylines. Like, we're all watching Twilight at this time of year. Why not pick up a vampire and werewolf romance at the same time? Come on. But yeah, I am beyond excited about the next one, which is Mate, which comes out in October, and I couldn't recommend this book enough. Again, it was one of those ones that like I couldn't put it down. I remember literally sitting in this chair and just reading the whole thing. It was so good. Again, it's also not too big either, and I don't know what else you want me to say about it. So good. Then we have another general fiction, which again isn't explicitly autumn, but to me it just makes me feel cozy, and so I feel like if you were wanting to read it this time of year, and that is Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. This is one of my 6-star reads. One of my favourite books of all time. This follows Kate and Tully, who are childhood best friends, and it kind of follows their relationship as they grow up and kind of go into kind of complete different directions in their lives. Kate is more of she is a stay-at-home mum and an aspiring writer, and Tully is a news person, I don't know what you call it, but like super driven career-wise, and their friendship is so interesting to see because they're like sisters. They understand each other better than probably anyone else, but you also get to experience these really big rifts in their relationship and how they navigate that. And this was my second Kristen Hanna read, and I wasn't sure how I would feel about it going into it again because I'm not that much of a general fiction person. But again, like this one, I don't know, like considering it's quite chunky as well, I couldn't put it down. I was glued to this book. I sobbed my eyes out. Cried so hard at this book, like had a headache, cried. Like that's how bad it was. But again, I feel like emotional books I quite like to read at this time of year just because they feel cozy. And again, this one is just like, it is a perfect like cozy, I want to sit down with a book that's like, I don't know how to describe it. I cannot put this book into words, but so good. I literally can't recommend it enough. Now again, as I was saying earlier, I can't talk about autumnal reads without recommending some of my favourite fantasies of all time, and one of those is the Kindred's Curse series by Penn Cole. This was such an unexpected love for me. I read this book because obviously I'd seen people talking about it and I was like, I want to see what the fuss is about, and immediately understood. Bear in mind how chunky this series is. Like this is the first book. The second book is probably like, well, almost double the size of this. And then the third book I read on Kindle and it was 1,000 pages on Kindle. I read the entire series in a weekend. Does that go to show you how amazing it was? I couldn't put it down. I was obsessed with this series. This follows DM, and this one again has like a really unique magic system, and it has some really heartbreaking moments, some really like cool like yearning moments. I love reading about a man who yearns, and you get to see like a sprinkle of it in this book, and then in the following couple of books you see it even more. But yeah, this series, whenever someone asks me at the moment like, oh well, I kind of want to read another fantasy but I don't know what one, I'm like, this one babe, you're picking up this one. It's so good. Again, like can't recommend enough. And like bear in mind how chunky those books are. I went through them in a weekend. That should tell you all you need to know. Next we have one of my favorite books of all time and my favorite film of all time, and that is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. If there was, again, ever a time to read this book is in the autumn. Like when I think about this book, I think cozy, I think English countryside, which is where I happen to live, but like foggy, misty, cozy, just love. I don't think I need to tell you the storyline of this one. I'm sure everyone knows, but if you haven't picked up Pride and Prejudice yet, if you're someone who doesn't even know anything about Pride and Prejudice, I personally watched the film first, the 2005 film with Keira Knightley, and again that is my favorite film of all time. And then I think it was last year that I was like, I really want to read the book, and I read the book and I loved it just as much. I have 3 copies of the book. So that tells you, I think that's the most copies. Okay, no, that actually ties with Throne of Glass. I have 3 different copies of Throne of Glass. I now have 3 copies of Pride and Prejudice. But yeah, it's just so cozy, so perfect for this time of year. And yeah, I love this copy as well. I got this from Waterstones and I'd wanted this edition for so long. So yeah, please pick up Pride and Prejudice. It's perfection. And then the final recommendation we have for this video is a book that you would have seen me reading in last week's video, and that was Shield of Sparrows by Daphne Perry. This again was such a surprising read for me. Like, I have not read any Daphne Perry books before reading this one, but I knew from the books I've seen of hers online that this is a very different genre for her, and boy did she do it justice. It was so good. Again, couldn't put it down. Haven't been able to stop thinking about it. I can't wait for whenever we get the next one. But this follows Odessa and the Guardian, which is what we're going to be calling him because I don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, it's just, again, a really unique magic system, and I'm someone who doesn't really care for like politics and stuff in fantasy books, but this one was really interesting. Especially as like more and more gets revealed throughout the book. Like, it was one of those books where as I was reading it, I was like, I know we're not getting the full story here, but I cannot even imagine like what the truth behind this is. And then it all like slowly gets revealed, and I was like, oh, what? Oh, what do you mean? It was so good. And yeah, just an amazing fantasy for this time of year. Would highly, highly recommend. And I have one more book to recommend in this week's video, but this one I don't have a physical copy for, so I will be putting it somewhere on the screen. And again, it was one that I read in last week's video, and that is If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia, I think is the author's name. And this one was sheer perfection. I literally couldn't think of it like this. Oh my god, it was so good. Set in a small town, single dad trope, which we all know I bloody love. And it follows Cliff and what was her name? Michelle. Michelle has, after her mother's passing, taken over her inn, and Cliff owns a bakery, but he lives next to the inn, and he like agrees to help her with her like people skills because she's like, no one's been leaving reviews for the inn, like I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And she like tells him how she's been acting around the guests, and he's like, you need help. And they like strike up a friendship, and it obviously like slowly blooms into something more. And oh, it was just so good. I had the best time reading it again, like couldn't put it down. And so cozy because it also goes into like Halloween and Christmas in the small town. And yeah, I loved it. It was so, so good. So those are all the books that I will be recommending in today's video. If you have any recommendations for me for autumn, please leave them down below. I'm so excited to see if any of you guys read these books. I really hope you do, and I really hope you love them as much as I do. But yeah, that is all we have for today. So please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please comment down below any recommendations you have or any videos you want to see from me in the future, and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, I will see you all next week. Bye.